today I am super excited to be sitting down and talking with Mallory Hagan. She was Miss America 2013, and I'm really excited for you to learn more about her. Thanks for being here, Mallory.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Yes, so to start us off, can you share a little bit more about yourself, where you're from, and what you've been up to these days?
Sure. Well, my story is sort of all over the place, but I grew up in small town Alabama. I grew up in a place called Opelika, which is right next to Auburn or Auburn University. I had a pretty standard, upbringing. I grew up with Friday night football being a huge thing. I was in the band, on the dance line, all of those things. And I started competing in the Miss America organization as a teen. During that time frame, my mom owned a dance studio, still does. She's 20, going on 27 years strong of owning a dance studio. So someone invited me into the program because I had a talent. So I started competing in my teen years, and then I moved to New York, where I continued to compete, and also where I won Miss America. And then since then, I have been a news anchor. I moved back down to the South to work for an NBC affiliate in Columbus, Georgia, where I was tapped to run for Congress. So I ran for Congress in 2018, and since then I've been working in communications or in politics in some capacity or another. And now I work for a nonprofit called the Business Outreach Center Network in New York City, and I work remotely. So I live in Alabama, but my job is based out of New York.
Very cool. And I actually was able to see you get crowned Miss America. At the time, I was supporting Laura McKeeman, who's now Laura Rutledge for Miss Florida. And it was so cool to see that journey for you to become Miss America.
Fun fact, I was obsessed, still am, with Laura, and was convinced throughout the week that she was going to win, because she just is a person that she's just cool and has an it factor. And that's obvious because now look what she's doing. So yeah, during the time frame we were all there, we really hit it off. We spent a lot of time together, me and Laura, but she excuse me, I was convinced she was going to be Miss America.
Oh, I could see it, but they definitely picked the right choice that year because you were an incredible Miss America. And so you mentioned you competed a few years before you made it to the Miss America stage. Why did you keep coming back, and what do you think you did differently that last year that made you become Miss America?
Well, I think that it's a combination of a few things. As a teen, I was third runner-up, first runner-up, second runner-up, and then I didn't make the top 5. And then, I went to Miss Alabama once and didn't really do anything there. And I kind of thought I'd never do any of these competitions ever again. And when I moved to New York, I was 19. And one of the years that I lived there, my mom and I were watching Miss America on TV, via FaceTime or whatever we were using, maybe Skype back then. I don't even know if FaceTime existed. Oh my God, I'm so old. But anyway, we were watching, and my mom just said to me, she was like, well, nothing against this girl, but if this girl just won, you certainly could too. Like, she was like, this is not an out of reach dream to have. So that was in January, back when Miss America had moved to January. And Miss Brooklyn was a few months later, and my mom basically said, you should just try. And I was ready to go back to school. I wanted to go to the Fashion Institute of Technology. So I already had everything I needed to compete. I just had my mom ship it up. And yeah. I was like, well, let me give it a shot, and maybe I'll get some scholarship money, and maybe I can at least, go to a year of FIT for free or something like that. So I did Miss Brooklyn, and then I was first runner up to Miss New York, which paid for a year of FIT. Well, almost, more like a semester and a half, but regardless, got me back into school. And I didn't have to, come out of pocket for it. And then same thing the next year, I was first runner up. So I thought, well, why not? Let me try again. I got first runner up again, paid for another year of school. And third time's a charm. I won Miss New York on my third try. And so in total, over the course of all the time I competed, I'm glad that I persevered for many reasons, but I earned over $75,000 in scholarships. So lots of benefits to chasing after your dream and not giving up on it, but scholarship and the opportunities that came with it definitely at the top of the list.
Absolutely. Now, you are one of many Miss Americas to have won representing New York. I think everyone wants to know what is in the water in New York that makes New York women so successful.
I also think this is a combination of things, but I would say, we've all seen a shift in the Miss America organization in the last couple of years. And in previous years in the organization, I feel as though the women who were involved were being told that they were, that this was a women's empowerment organization and they were encouraged to speak their mind and all of these things. But when it came down to it, in the ways in which they worked with their local committees or their state organizations, their opinions weren't always valued the way that they should have been, and they did not have the personal ability to make decisions for themselves. And so it often, whether you're talking about wardrobe or appearances, it came down to what someone else wanted you to do versus figuring out who you authentically are and executing on that at Miss America and beyond. And so I just feel really grateful that the Miss New York organization, the people who ran the organization when I was Miss New York, were very much like, we've provided you the car, essentially. Here are the keys. If you need help with gas, let us know. And so that's really, how they approached the preparation process for Miss America. It was very much, what do you want? What do you want this year to look like? How can we assist you in achieving your goals? How can we assist you in paying for things so that you can go out and do the work that you've set out to do? So the way that they operate in the state of New York has always been that the woman is in charge of her own experience. There are expectations of her, of course, but she's in charge of that experience. And I think it's evident in many Miss New Yorks, not just the ones who have won Miss America. Claire Buffy, who was Miss New York the year that I was first runner-up, was instrumental in passing marriage equality in the state of New York before it was federal. Miss New York before me, Caitlin Monty, was second runner-up to Miss America and was instrumental in setting the example for what it meant to have a social impact initiative or a platform and to actually do something with it in a huge way. I mean, so there are the type of women that move to New York for that reason, and then there is just the it just goes without saying that the people who helped prepare us for Miss America did so in a way that allowed us as individuals to shine. And when you're that comfortable with who you are and what you're bringing to the table, win or lose, you're going to present yourself in a way that's authentic. And being Miss America is about being able to do that. No matter what room you're in, still remaining true to who you are and being yourself.
Absolutely. That's such great advice and words of wisdom to share with everyone, because I do think that the best way to shine throughout this program is by feeling authentically yourself and showing that to everyone you meet.
It's funny, just piggybacking off of that a little bit, I talked about wardrobe, and it's about so much more than that. But when you are on stage, what you wear and how you feel impacts how you present yourself in every category, right? One of the big things I learned from Don Baker, who was my communications coach, one of them, it was that if you're not comfortable in this area of competition or in life or whatever, it's going to show over here. So he was really adamant about, put in the work to be comfortable in every category. But I brought this up because the dress that I wore at Miss America was no one's favorite. On my board of directors, some of the people who were sort of behind me and helping to, get me to the Miss America stage. And, we went round and round. We went round and round about that dress. And I was like, no, I love it. It's simple. It's clean. It's classic. Photos of me 50 years from now will still be beautiful. Like I was really adamant about it. And that we had a discussion. They did not want me to wear it. And, they all laugh about it now. It wasn't anything dramatic really, but we had lunch one day and I said, you know what? I'm wearing this dress. I love you all. Thank you for your opinions. And this is the end of this conversation. Yeah. And so it's just, it's like those little moments. Of course, it was all done respectfully, but it's those little moments where you have to stand your ground and be who you are and say, you know what, if I fail, at least I'm failing in a dress I love, know? So I highly encourage everyone to think through even those little things, the shoes, the earrings, all of that stuff impacts how you present yourself.
Absolutely. Now, what is your biggest piece of advice for young women competing or even considering to compete in the program?
My biggest piece of advice is to figure out your why. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of people initially might get involved in programs like Miss America because they see a crown and a banner and they see an opportunity to shine. But the reality of this is that these jobs are jobs, and they are hard, and they are meant to be fulfilled with a purpose. So I remained involved once I had sort of gotten bitten by the bug for two reasons: my scholarship and the ability to make an impact. My platform was prevent child abuse, or the prevention of child abuse. And I really saw an opportunity to use the platform of Miss America to have a lasting impact on our country. And I'm proud to say that during the time frame that I was Miss America, I was able to make a lasting impact on our country. I lobbied Congress. I worked with our representatives. I helped reinstate funding in our national budget for child advocacy centers. Like I made an impact, and I left something behind in a way that was positive. So competing in this program is about so many things, but ultimately you should figure out why you're doing it. And if it is simply to walk across stage or get a crown and sash, it's probably not the program for you, especially with the trajectory that it's on. So why are you here, and what do you want to leave as a legacy where you are, whether it's just as a local title holder or all the way up to being Miss America? Have that why in front of you, and it will make everything else, it will prioritize everything else appropriately.
That's great advice. And now you mentioned it is a job, and I don't think a lot of people realize that. They may not know what it really entails to be Miss America. Can you share more about that? I'm sure it wasn't always easy.
Sure. Well, the day-to-day aspect of it has changed quite a bit over the last couple of years. It used to be, when I was Miss America, it was very much you travel with somebody. I traveled with someone 30 days at a time. That has since changed. People alternate now. But it used to be that you got a schedule at the beginning of the week. You got on a plane, you were off to a speaking engagement or an appearance. It meant that you had to prepare, most likely a keynote address. You had to be prepared to stand in a photo receiving line for 6 hours straight. You had to be prepared to make small talk with strangers over and over and over again. Or you had to be prepared to sit down in front of lawmakers and talk about your social impact initiative. One of the things that was thrown at me while I was Miss America, that was not something I was necessarily prepared for, but if you're prepared to do the job, then you know that being adaptable and rolling with the punches is what it's about. I was not prepared to talk about STEM. And the year that I won Miss America, the Miss America organization partnered with the Department of Education, and we introduced this whole STEM initiative and STEM scholarship, and that is not anywhere near what I was studying or my background. And so I had to learn how to adapt pretty quickly to figuring out what my talking points were going to be for something that I wasn't involved in. And so I think a lot of people don't realize that Miss America is about thinking on your feet. It's about walking into a room and being a presence and engaging with everyone equally, no matter if they're the janitor or the president. It's about spending your morning with a lawmaker and your afternoon with a 4-year-old. I mean, it runs the gamut, and it really does prepare you for so many different other aspects of life. But ultimately, it also means that when you get back to your hotel room, you're answering emails, and it is a job. You might be asked to write a blog or an opinion piece or record a video, and all of these things are elements of what you're expected to do. And so it is a once in a lifetime opportunity at the local level, all the way up to being Miss America, because the jobs are really the same. They're just on a different scale. But it does require that you work. And I think that the knowledge of that is expanding in the Miss America program, and it has over the last couple of years. And what that looks like will continue to evolve as the world evolves.
Now, post Miss America, you ran for office in Alabama. This is something I'm really passionate about, and my social impact is heavily involved in this and having more women pursue leadership positions. So
what is your social impact called?
It's called Be a Lead Her, Igniting the Spark Within. So it's having females pursue those leadership positions, and is heavily involved in having more women run for office. So first, thank you for running for office, because it is critical to see more females in that position. And then second, I wanted to ask you, what did you learn from this experience?
Oh man, I learned more from running for office than potentially I've ever, like, in that short span of time, than maybe ever in life. However, the parallel of competing in the Miss America organization and running for office, I was like blown away by how similar it is.
Okay. Wow.
Just, it's the level of preparation. It's having to know yourself inside and out, having to know the issues inside and out, having to be able to answer any question that comes your way in a way that if it's printed or on video, it's okay. Having to figure out how to put all the pieces in place to build a team to get you to where you want to be, just like competing at state to get to Miss America. I mean, the similarities are endless. And I learned a tremendous amount, not only about the world we live in. I was very aware, but of course, the more you dig into issues at a granular level, the more you realize, first of all, how intertwined so many of our problems are in our country and in our world, and how important it is that we bring different perspectives to the table, like the female perspective, people of color, LGBTQ. We really need to diversify the leadership in this country, from our city council all the way up to our administration. And I'm learning that it's a much bigger problem than I ever realized. And I'm hopeful that this moment of, it's not a moment, it's a movement. This resurgence of Black Lives Matter and the hope that it is a movement, not a moment, will encourage people to start looking around at their surroundings and see how they are not diverse in many ways. I just moved to a new place in Alabama. First thing I did is look up city council, our commissioners, all of that. And I mean, it's just white men, and nothing wrong with being a white man, but we need different perspectives at the table in order for us to be able to thrive as a nation. And so I learned a tremendous amount, of course, about the world. And then I learned a lot about myself, in that I think I had doubted what I was capable of. And I was not that there is anything wrong with being Miss America, but I didn't want that to be the greatest thing I ever accomplished. Right. So I learned that, as long as you're taking one bite at a time, you can eat an elephant. You just got to chip away at it.
Sure.
So it really, I guess it sparked my confidence in myself again, and, re-inspired me that I am capable of doing more than just that. Not that that's not wonderful, but I wanted to go on to do bigger and better things. And it inspired and encouraged me that I can do so.
That's great to hear. And it's really cool to see how that parallels Miss America, like you said. But at the same time, I wanted to ask you, being a former Miss America, did you ever get any criticism for being involved in pageants or being a pageant girl? And how did you handle that?
I think people are always critical until they hear me speak. There's something to be said for the skill set that you gain being involved in the program. Being involved in Miss America allows you the opportunity to present yourself in front of all different types of people. And it really teaches you how to know your audience. So when I walk into a barn that's full of people who I know think differently than me, I have the ability to tailor my message and what I say to make them feel included in what I'm trying to do. And on the exact opposite end of that, when I walk into a room full of LGBTQ people, I know how to tailor my message to make sure that they know that I'm an ally. And that's a skill set that you don't learn anywhere else. Miss America really provides that for people. And something I've been thinking about a lot lately, is I'm sure with your platform being about female leadership, it's Ignite, Emerge, Emily's List, all of these programs that provide educational training to women who they would like to see run for office, or encouraging them to run for office. Miss America is the original. Mm-hmm. A lot of people don't draw that line because they don't understand the work that we do, and it hasn't been messaged well, which is what I think we're trying to change, right, through the program. But if you think about it, the women in Miss America have been training to run for office or training to be female leaders just in being involved in this program. So I think we, as we move forward with the Miss America organization and being involved in it, we've got to do a better job of sharing that with people. We are the original Emerge. We are the original Ignite. We are the original, any one of those organizations that's training women leaders. Mm-hmm. So it's about just drawing that line for people to make them understand. But I got questioned about it all the time. And even the man that I was running against at one point said, she's just a former Miss America. She's just a 29-year-old girl. And I didn't take too well to that. so I got some of it. But ultimately, I think when people heard me speak or saw me in a room, there was no denying that I was capable. I was just as capable of doing the job of a congresswoman as our current congressman.
Mm-hmm. No, that's incredible to hear, and such a neat perspective, drawing that between Miss America really is a training organization for women. I know I was involved as a teen in the Miss America's Outstanding Teen program, and seeing the transformation in myself has been incredible throughout these few years.
And do you ever feel like, I always think it's interesting whenever I'm around other people my age.
Mm-hmm.
I felt this more when I was younger. Being into my early 30s now, it's not as much. But when I was younger, I always felt like I had nothing in common with anyone my age, because being involved in or participating in Miss America grows your confidence, but it also just adds to your maturity. It requires that you gain independence and that you figure out how to do things for yourself. Do you feel that way when you're around people your own?
Absolutely. I know some of my friends, they're like, Leah, you are so strange. Like, why are you spending your Friday night like writing emails and making phone calls instead of hanging out? But there are sacrifices you make for the job, and you definitely grow and mature throughout this process.
But those sacrifices will pay off
Mm-hmm.
tenfold as you get older and you realize that any interview room you walk into, my thing has always just been, get me the interview, I will get the job, right? Mm-hmm. And so I think that that's the type of thing that pays off long after people are involved in the program.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I personally love the way you held the year of service as Miss America. I felt you made her so relatable, and you were human and real, that so many young women could look up to you in that aspect. What do you hope to see as Miss America embarks upon its 100th anniversary? Is she still relevant?
I think everything we just discussed makes Miss America relevant, of course. And it really depends on, the leadership of this program and what they decide to do in providing resources for the young women who participate. I hope to see 100 years more of leadership training and personal development, and focus being on community and on service and on building women of character and integrity to take on these leadership roles that we know exist in every community in America. I think that will always be relevant, as long as, especially until we see a society that is equitable for us. It's going to take us, the type of women that compete in Miss America, fighting for and advocating for those types of changes in order for us to get there as a country and as a globe. So that's what I hope to see. And I hearing things that here and there, I think that's the trajectory that we're on. And it's going to take a lot of people rolling up their sleeves and doing the work. And we're no stranger to that. So that's what I hope for. And I think it ultimately depends on the woman who's in the role. Obviously, she changes every year, as does her personality and her work ethic and her ability to relate to people. So I think that's why it's important for the shift that we've seen in the organization. It's why it's important for us to focus on the totality of the women involved and not necessarily just on one woman, because then the reputation of the organization, the sentiment of the organization, all depends on one person, versus us sharing that there's so much more to us than just Miss America herself. So I think that shift, combined with providing real professional development and leadership opportunities for local title holders and the women who are involved, we're gonna see a major shift in the way that not only are we received, but the way that we feel about what the work that we're doing internally too.
Mm-hmm. No, that's so exciting, and I love those opportunities, and the more opportunities to grow and succeed throughout this program, the better.
Right. Yeah.
My last question for you is, how can people stay updated with you and follow you on social media?
Oh, well, I would love that. I am very political online, so if that's not your bag, that's okay. But everything that I am is, it's Mallory Hagan. So I've got a website, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, Twitch, you name it. All of it is at It's Mallory Hagan. So I'd love to interact with you. I'm starting back up I started a series where I was talking about trending topics, and I kind of let it die down while the bulk of Black Lives Matter movement was happening. So I didn't want to take up space in the world in that moment. So we'll be kicking that off again soon on my channels. And I do kitchen table talks that are kind of like this, but trying to talk to people who have varied backgrounds and that live very differently than me to learn something from them. So I'd love to see anybody here over there as well.
Very cool. I cannot thank you enough for sitting down and taking the time to share more about your journey and your advice. I thought you were an incredible Miss America, but going above and beyond post Miss America and doing amazing things.
Thank you. I'm so glad you're doing this. I think it's important for people to know what we have to offer outside of a crown and a sash. And so good luck to you in your journey, and maybe we'll see you on the Miss America stage.
I hope so. Thank you so much. Bye.